Ian Garry might be an occasionally frustrating technician who doesn't always produce the best of fights, but it can't be denied his excellency in game planning. He produced 2 consecutive performances in 2025 that were amongst the year's best, preparing specific counters to Carlos Prates and Belal Muhammad's best weapons. The Prates performance was a masterpiece, plain and simple. Carlos Prates is a tremendously powerful southpaw with a wicked left hand, stabbing front kicks, and a dangerous step-in knee game. He operates best when he's able to poke at his opposition with long straights and step-in elbows, and he's the rare southpaw who is perfectly fine with his opponent circling out beyond his lead foot, as it allows him to over-rotate and crack with his left at full extension. Garry came out and immediately intimated his intentions. He wanted to operate at range and pressure gradually. He engages with Prates in the hand fight before showing a small lead leg feint to throw Prates off. This is important, as Prates likes to control the lead hand to gauge distance, inhibit the jab, and set up his left-sided weapons. As the first round goes on, Garry mostly employs long techniques that discourage Prates' forward progression, such as the oblique kick and low-line side kick, and stays attentive about defending Prates' inside low kick. He uses the hand fight to determine when Prates is going to step in with his straight left, and retreats either by pulling away to his rear leg or moving diagonally by switching to southpaw, keeping him away from any follow-up right hook. Here, the lead hands meet, and Garry level changes under the left hook to initiate the upper body clinch before breaking with a knee. He weaponizes the hand fight by hooking around the lead hand, sometimes following up with the right. He stays consistent with the open side body and high kick, which prevents Prates from getting too relaxed with his left hand. He has to keep it by his chin, or else he's eating shin. And then there's the occasional single leg attempt that he shoots with his head outside to avoid Prates' counter knees. He continues on with these basic principles, getting occasionally skilled with the counter jab and eating some low kicks here and there, but he does a tremendous job of staying true to the game plan, deviating little. As the fight wears on, his jab and up jab start to enter the picture, causing Prates further issues, and he starts to open up with longer combinations. Coming in on 2 weeks' notice, Garry's control of the distance started to wane somewhat in the final 2 rounds, but even still, he remained diligent with his defense, jabbing out of precarious positions, moving laterally, and shooting to break up Prates' forward momentum and return to the center of the cage. I like this level change as Prates throws the open side body kick, putting his head on the opposite side of the kick and grabbing the leg. He fails to execute the takedown even after elevating the knee, but it's good for putting Prates to the cage briefly. Garry seemed aware of all of Prates' best weapons, even as he was fading in the 5th. Here, he keeps the right arm high and pivots away as Prates shoots his patented left at Garry. Here, he gets Prates to reach with a full extension left straight and pulls away to his rear leg and counters with an intercepting 3-2. Here, after the left hook, he flattens his stance and jogs back to the center of the cage, exploiting Prates' lackadaisical cage-cutting approach. Here, Garry waits for the looping left hook and pulls back to return fire with a counter right hook before marching back to the middle of the octagon. He gets put in a spot of bother when he gets reversed after the head outside shot and ends up in bottom half guard, but he keeps moving, keeps shooting, keeps scrambling, anything to prevent a stoppage. When the final horn sounds, Garry is very clearly secured a win, despite the late surge from the Brazilian. From a game plan standpoint, this is as good a performance as you can put together. Against the former champion and Belal Muhammad, Garry had an equally well-discerned approach. Muhammad's best performance was against Leon Edwards in his title-winning effort, and as we discussed in my video on The Box, Belal did a great job of denying space, cutting Edwards off laterally, and countering the counters. Garry starts by posting on Belal's head as he pushes forward, before switching directions so he can return to the middle. He remains fervently aware of the right hand at all times, drawing it out via jabs and avoiding it before countering. His stance is lower than usual here because of the takedown threat, and he pulls his hips back swiftly to counter any suspected shots. Belal gallops forward off of the left hook, but Garry is quick to step his left leg back into southpaw and bails diagonally. Most of Belal's best striking performances feature him pressuring guys linearly to the fence, like against Sean Brady and Leon Edwards, so Garry made sure to avoid being stuck against the cage. When Belal would feint the level change, Garry would throw out a jab with his hips back to both prepare for the shot and keep Belal honest with his defense. The jab would also be used to post when he was anticipating a Muhammad counter attempt. Belal did a decent job of dipping under the jab of Garry to look for his right overhand, but again, Garry had done his research and knew to expect this weapon when Belal had successfully closed distance. When they were at a comfortable range, Garry frequently chewed up the lead leg of Belal, using the oblique kicks and the calf kick. As Garry utilised kicks more frequently, Belal became more desperate to close distance hurriedly, switching to southpaw to shift forward with straight lefts and left hooks. Garry avoids these, but never runs himself onto the fence just to defend a single strike. Belal becomes progressively more desperate, and Garry responds accordingly, punishing the galloping jabs with overhand counters and pulling back from the rights. I really like Garry subtly slipping to the inside of the up jab and electing to pivot around his left foot, pulling back to allow Belal's right hook to careen harmlessly off his tricep. He does get put on the fence a few times in the third round, but he stays calm, throws his right to draw out an inevitable Muhammad overhand, and escapes out the back door off of the pullback. He goes back to the oblique kicks, and when Belal commits to a right hook, that's when Garry ducks underneath and initiates the over-under, turning Belal to the cage. The takedown defense was tailored too. He would turn side on and underhook Belal's chin to make it difficult to convert the single into a double, and once he dragged Belal into the upper body clinch game, he was usually able to nullify the position, even after giving up double underhooks. Even if it wasn't the most spectacular fight, this performance is indicative of Garry's exceptional fight IQ. He clearly watches footage, and he seems to interpret it in a cerebral, conscientious way, and he's been doing this for years. Go back to his comprehensive dismantling of Rostem Akhman back in Cage Warriors, or his beautiful bodywork and pull countering against Song Kanan. Even if he's sometimes a little messy in the execution, he's a masterful tactician. This weekend, he comes up against the best fighter on earth right now, Islam Makhachev. And whilst it's hard to pick against Makhachev, Garry should prove a tough out. He knows how to trouble southpaws, he's long as hell, and if there's one person I trust to assiduously research Makhachev's habits, it's Ian Garry. It might be the biggest barn burner of all time, but I do expect it to be pretty damn competitive.